What's the difference between raw_input and input in Python 3? What is the difference between raw_input and input in Python 3?
The difference is that raw_input does not exist in Python 3.x, while input does. Actually, the old raw_input has been renamed to input, and the old input is gone, but can easily be simulated by using eval input. Remember that eval is evil. Try to use safer ways of parsing your input if possible.
In Python 2, raw_input returns a string, and input tries to run the input as a Python expression. Since getting a string was almost always what you wanted, Python 3 does that with input. As Sven says, if you ever want the old behavior, eval input works.
Python 2, raw_input takes exactly what the user typed and passes it back as a string. Input first takes the raw_input and then performs an eval on it as well. The main difference is that input expects a syntactically correct Python statement where raw_input does not. Python 3, raw_input was renamed to input, so now input returns the exact string. Old input was removed. If you want to use the old input, meaning you need to evaluate a user input as a Python statement, you have to do it manually by using eval input.
In Python 3, raw_input doesn't exist, which was already mentioned by Sven. In Python 2, the input function evaluates your input. Example. In the example above, Python 2.x is trying to evaluate harsha as a variable rather than a string. To avoid that, we can use double quotes around our input like harsha. Raw_input. The raw_input function doesn't evaluate, it will just read whatever you enter. Example. Example. In example above, I was just trying to evaluate the user input with the eval function.
I'd like to add a little more detail to the explanation provided by everyone for the Python 2 users. Raw_input, which, by now, you know that evaluates whatever data the user enters as a string. This means that Python doesn't try to even understand the entered data again. All it will consider is that the entered data will be string, whether or not it is an actual string or int or anything. While input, on the other hand, tries to understand the data entered by the user. So the input like hello world would even show the error, as hello world is undefined. In conclusion, for Python 2, to enter a string 2 you need to enter it like hello world, which is the common structure used in Python to use strings.